What is up, Lions fans? Today I'm going to talk about why the Detroit Lions have the best running back duo in the NFL and why David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are about to make history. So first off, let's look at David Montgomery's just his base stats. He's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. He has 351 yards and 6 touchdowns. In all of his games, he's had 80 yards, 40 yards, 105 yards, 35 yards, and 91 yards, and he's had touchdowns just about every single game. He's gotten about 94 yards in total from his receiving yards. He's gotten 0 yards, 40 yards, 17 yards, 35 yards, and 2 yards. So, what's that going to get David Montgomery? If you average up his rushing yards, it gives him 70.2 yards a game. If you average up his receiving yards, he gets you 30.6 yards a game receiving. So let's look over at what that would get. So if you look at his averages, we have 12 games left in the year. So we do 70.2 times 12, which gives you 842 yards. That's just for rushing. And if you go to his receiving, you get 30.6 times 12, 367 yards, 0.2. So what happens if you add up all of that? Well, if you add up his projected rushing yards, if you add up his current rushing yards, if you add up his receiving yards, and you add up his projected rushing yards using that math, you get 1,560 yards total. That's not even fully counting his current receiving yards, which is kind of a small number, so I didn't think to really add a whole lot of that. So on that level, that's an insane total yards beast right there. You already know David Montgomery is going to get over 1,000 yards just on rushing. That is not even talking about how crazy his numbers will be with touchdowns if he keeps up getting more and more touchdowns every game. So let's look at Jahmyr Gibbs. He has 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5.3 yards per carry average. He's gotten 63 yards, 78 yards, 83 yards, 84 yards, and 40 yards in all of his games. For receiving, he's gotten 28 yards, 20 yards, 22 yards, and 34 yards. Let's look at his rushing average. He gets you 69.6 yards a game rushing. Receiving, he gets you 20.8 yards receiving. So let's put that together. So you got 69.6 times 12. That gives you 835 rushing yards for the rest of the season just based off his averages. For his receiving, 20.8 times 12 gets you 249.6 receiving yards a game. So, not a game, in total for the rest of the year, just on averages. So let's add up all that together for Gibbs. That gives you 835 plus 250 plus 348 plus 104. So that's all counting up his averages, his current yards, rushing and receiving. That gives you 1,537 yards. Both these running backs are not just on pace to get over 1,000 yards in scrimmages, they're getting 1,500 plus yards in scrimmages. I don't think people understand how historic this is. Just to show you, let's ask ChatGPT. Has a NFL team ever had 2 1,000-yard rushers? Only this many teams are getting that. It is incredibly rare. You've had it once in 2008 with DeAngelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. And then you have 1972 with the Miami Dolphins. That's only 2 teams. And that was before the current era. And not only that, you're having 2 running backs who are projected to get even more than these guys. Both of these guys are going to get 1,500. And even the Panthers in this example, Stewart didn't even reach 1,000 yards in the regular season. That is crazy. We are having a historic team that only very few teams have done, and only really one team has really actually done it. That's just our running backs. Now we have ourselves a good passing game. We have one of the better lines in football. And look at the rest of our games. We only got 12 And the only games that are going to be really tough for us, the Vikings, the Texans, Buffalo, and the 49ers. We got the rest of those games. We are definitely making the playoffs, Lions fans. We got this. And we got a historic back to do it. With that, guys, that's history being made. We're going to make the playoffs, guys.